Chapter 14, April 18th, 2007. The room around us fades, and tables are rearranged. Tables that once were chipped and broken rebuild themselves before my eyes. Papers once strewn about return to their original location. Some disappear completely. 5 people fade into existence before me. Their actions ceased and everything stands still as if it were paused. This is another one of those visions, or hallucinations. The one closest to me on my right is an easy recognition. It's my father. That means these other 4 are the ones he worked with. Of course. Beside my father is David Cress, the man with the jet black hair and the European-sounding voice. Jay Ryan, the hair that had already started to gray alongside his cloudy eyes. And Mason Radica, the one with the dark brown hair cut real short with a southern drawl. The 5th, Jack Adata, stands in a separate partition behind a glass window, fully robed in white with a mask over his face. I guess I can't really know that this is Jack, but I do. Just like I knew the others' last names, I didn't know them, but now I do. I think Plato is showing me that, telling me inside my head. I also know the time I'm looking at happened 10 years ago, 2007. Her voice slips away as the world starts to resume in front of me. My father presses a button on a microphone standing in front of all 4 of them and bends down. Hey, Jack? Yes, Greg, I read you. I see him reaching for a mic on the lapel of the robe. Okay, good. You have a little room for error here. You realize that, right? You're working with things no other human has come in contact with. I know. I promise I got it. We don't know how that land trade reacts with anything. You need to tell us every little thing that happens, even if you think it doesn't matter. We won't be able to see the reaction since we're locking the door, so the safety barriers can go down, Mason said, bending down to speak in. Wait, safety barriers? Yes. They're mandatory. Word from up high demands their use in conjunction with the Jacobean land trade, my father said. I wanted to tell you, Jack, but... Jay begins. But you wouldn't have gone in if we'd said so, my father said. Well, what the hell, guys? Jay, I would have thought you would have at least told me, Jack said, his voice cracks. There is nothing to worry about. Worst case scenario is we have to unlock the door and you're all fine, okay? It wasn't our choice to put you in there, my father said. It was from on high, wasn't it?
Straight from the president himself,
David said, breaking his silence. He didn't like that mishap you caused with the sulfuric acid, so consider this a sort of retribution act to win over his favor once again, my father said sternly. Right, I'm sorry again, Jack said. Well, we'll see once we figure out what this stuff does, my father said. Begin test 1. He lets off the button. Jay looks to my father. Now, why'd you tell him that Valhart assigned him to be the one who had to test it, Greg? My father slides up his sleeve and moves his hand near his elbow until he fastens what I actually see as a prosthetic arm. He slams it down on the table and looks Jay in the eye. Cost me my arm, Jay. Yes, I know that, Greg, but at some point you have to move on. We've got work that could very well be advancement as our species, and you risk it over something petty? Petty? You try losing your arm and see how petty it is.
Guys, you need to relax. Listen, if Bozo the Clown in there fucks it up, then it's him who pays for it. If he succeeds, cool, we're still good out here, you see. It's the safest method, and besides, what if you did go in there, Jay? What if something did go wrong? Who would be there to take care of Karen?
David said, Excuse me for intruding in what sounds like a private argument, but we really need to turn our attention back to Jack. Greg, if anything happens to him in there, you're the one tasked with telling his daughter, Mason said. My father doesn't answer. He bends down to the microphone and presses the button. Jack, you okay to begin? Yeah, I read you. The locks are being sealed now. Okay. A heavy-set metal pane begins to replace the glass of the window by what can only explained by science that seems 50 years ahead of anything I've ever seen. It seems to transform. I turn to walk and I find I can actually move myself. I'm not pinned to one spot like in my last vision. I look at the closed-off partition and move toward it. Wonder if I could see this up close and personal. I find that the door is incorporeal, or rather, that I am. I pass through, and I see Jack's shaking body as he breathes in deeply. There's a microphone situated in front of him in the sole desk in the room. He lifts his finger off the button and looks down. Moving away for a moment, I see a few sets of containers on it. One contains a green-looking metal that seems to glow ominously. The label on the container said Lantrate. Next to that one on the left is labeled Daikoburi, and it contains a rough-looking chunk of rock. These were the 2 new elements they'd found on Mars. I noticed there are 2 other containers, each labeled radium and calcium. There are solid forms of each element in the containers. Jack first takes a chunk of the Daikoburi off of the larger. He moves slowly, a hesitation in his movements. There is a beaker beside the containers, and Jack lifts the Daikoburi sample and sets it inside of the beaker. Next, he takes a small sample of calcium and gently yeasts it into the beaker. When the 2 elements touch, they begin smoking somewhat, but that seems to be the only reaction. Testing shows that Daikoburi reacts minimally with calcium, Jack said. What does minimally mean exactly, Jack? Mason asked. Sizzling, almost like I poured acid on it, Jack replies. Jack then moves to grab the radium. He uses a pair of tongs and grabs a small sample, which is then dropped into the beaker. Once the radium hits the calcium in the Daikoburi, the beaker begins smoking even more. Subject radium produces a ton of waste byproduct when introduced to the calcium in Daikoburi. I haven't even begun heating them up yet. Alright, test out the Lantrate now. That's the one we're all curious about, my father said. No need to rush him, Jay interjects. Jay.
Hush up, the both of you.
David said. But are you sure that you should add that in if it's smoking? Jay asked.
Jay, you need to learn how to calm down. Everything will be okay.
David responds. Okay, I'm going in, Jack said. Wipes off the tongs with the bits of radium that had stuck on, and he goes in to grab a small specimen of Lantrate. The glowing green metal seems to hum and glow brighter in a rhythmic fashion. It's glowing brightly now, guys. I don't have a good feeling about this, Jay said. Yeah, I think I'm with Jay on this one. Mason stands up.
Guys, we have to take a little bit of risk. This could be like the secret cure to cancer or something.
David assures. I grabbed a bit too much of the Lantrate for one specimen's worth, and it's kind of stuck to the tongs, Jack said. Approximately how much do you have? Mason asked. If I were to guess, I'd say about 9 samples worth. 9? You only needed to put 1 in, my father calls into the microphone. It's acting like a magnet to any of the particles. I can't get it off, he said, frantic. I see David take over the microphone from Mason.
Jack, you have to test this stuff out. If you can't get the extra bits off, then just dip what you can into the beaker. This is important shit we're dealing with.
Jack takes a deep breath and dips a lone section of the Lantrate into the beaker. When it makes contact with the other elements, it softens into a liquid, which all empties into the beaker. The solution begins glowing a vast array of blues and greens and even oranges. Jack holds the beaker out in front of him, and he notices the other solid elements had also been melted into one liquid solution. It all went in. And? My father asked. It's turned all rainbow-like, liquid. It's really hypnotic, Jack begins. Does anybody want to get a closer look? The liquid blasts out in all directions, and Jack tries to shield his face with his arm. He screams out in pain as the liquid splatters against the metal like blood. The blast blows the door clean off of its hinges. Jack is lying face down on the ground, the entirety of his suit burnt off, and his skin doesn't look much better. The others rush into the room, helping him stand up. He's alive, making out a garbled cough as his eyes open slowly. He lets out a sound that sounds painful from the start, and then all of a sudden the alarms in the building start going off.
Warning! Warning! Chemical leak! Warning! Warning! Chemical leak!
God damn it, Greg. Jay lets out, and he lets go of Jack. What? Where are you going? My father said. The kids, he said. You and David stay here, okay? Mason, come with me. Got it. Mason hands off the rest of the weight to David, who helps my father pull him into the main laboratory. My father mouths, "I'm sorry," to Jay, who doesn't seem to see or care at the moment. Mason and Jay start running out of the room and cross into a hallway, the very one that leads to the elevator that killed Tom. The vision fades to darkness. Chapter 15. I'm staring right at Leto's face as I come back, her eye socket still bleeding. She must have gotten out from under my grip while I was out, because she's sitting right beside me in the old laboratory. She stands up. I'm surprised at the fact she can stand after gouging out her eye. She makes a motion with her hand for me to follow her and begins running off. All of this running off, it can't ever be a leisurely pace or a nice walk. I've ran more in this past day than in a long time. I stand to my feet. My back is killing me. The pain in my hands returns. Part of me wishes I didn't come back from the vision. Everything hurts. She went through a door on the far side of the room, just past the partition where Jack was working. I glimpse at the floor and see a bunch of papers falling. A bunch of them are diagrams or packets full of things that pass way over my head. But one looks different, familiar. I notice it's one of Jack's written logs.
Year 0, April 23rd, 2007. I've made a terrible mistake. I've tried to discover fire, tried to give our species the next big push. The cost of such was too high. My daughter was caught in the middle of the aftermath. This was too much to handle. The only source of good news is that I'm alive, but if it meant bringing Megan back, I would trade places with her. I can't face my own wife after this. I have to find a way to fix things. I've messed them up, but I can't stop. I have to fix this. Maybe I can find a way to bring her back. Then we can be a happy family again. The others, they live. We decided as a group to give the kids a custom dose of type beta blocker that help them forget this madness. Jay elected that we remember, so that we do not repeat this tragedy. I do not intend to repeat it. I intend to surpass it, and I will not let any of them interfere with this plan. They have been antagonistic towards me since the very beginning. I have nothing to lose, and everything to gain. And you, Mr. President, I know you check these update logs weekly, so by the time you see this, I'll have already begun testing. Send whatever order you please to try and stop this project. We're going into Phase 2. Signed, Jack Adata.
I have a bad feeling in the pit of my chest where this leads, especially about his kid dying. Megan, was it? I remember her as the small child with the blonde hair from that one vision. Now that I think about it, I know of another girl with blonde hair she actually reminds me of. No way, it's impossible. Jack's kid died. No way this blonde chick later is around my age and looks just like this little girl is the same person. None of this makes sense. I stuff the note in my pocket and go through the doors. I need more answers. I need to know why. Why? I find myself struggling with the door. It's a heavy metal door that refuses to open easily. It feels like there's someone else on the other side holding it closed as I try to push it open. But I can see through the crack of the door that's not the case. A streak of terror runs through me when I hear the familiar sound of gunshots ring through my body. I almost instinctively duck down to avoid any oncoming bullets, but I realize my reaction would have surely been too slow. Plus, the fact it didn't even sound like it came from this room. That doesn't stop my feeling of dread that's usually associated with firing a weapon. I run inside and I find Grace shaking. She holds the BB gun in her hands, and at her feet I see Leto/Megan on the ground, unmoving. Gavin, I went all the way back and the incinerator room was clear and Grace begins. You? What did you do? What? I was coming to find you and I found the BB gun Leo had shot me with on the floor, so I decided to end this. She was my only choice for answers! I scream, louder than I intend to. Answers? Gavin, I want to get out of here! There is no out for me, remember? All I have left are questions, now that won't get answered because you shot the person wanting me to tell them. Excuse me, but did you forget that she's the reason you're here? Grace asks. What the fuck do I care now? All I had left was the chance to figure out what the fuck we're here for. I don't care about getting out anymore. What awaits for me? Okay, fine, maybe so, if you think about it only from your perspective. But I have more to live out there. Fuck you, I said. That's exactly why I wanted to ditch you back there, only thinking about yourself. I do it because Cretans like you pretend you're indifferent. Level with me 1 second. Think about exactly what you just said. You have all these wonderful lives you're gonna have out there, and so I should just fuck off, right? Well, that's great. Thanks for confirming what kind of garbage you are. Gavin, Grace started, but I wasn't having any of it. I was mad, and I wasn't exactly sure if it was at her. I'm sure it wasn't, but she was here, and so was I. No. Go fuck yourself. Find your own way out. See if I stay here another goddamn second. Okay, fine then. I'm wholly not sorry, Grace said back. At first, I was slightly sympathetic, but now, no. You're just a miserable child who is only older than me, but still acts like he's a brat. And when her anger couldn't hold, she stood still and broke before me. Eyes, face, the whole works. It takes a certain kind of person to be rough around the edges. It's not something you just are. It takes a lot of careful, subconscious work to build up walls that shut people out. It's not anything I'm proud of. Then again, there isn't much room for me to be proud of much in this life. Thus little I managed to get swept away with the... You're not here for a pity story. Yes, I've been a little too self-indulgent here. That's entirely my fault. One of these times I might slip up and reveal something truly heartrending. Isn't that what makes broken folks endearing? Or is that what most drives them away? Guess I'm not too great a judge at that. I stand here at a precipice, a real money moment. Spielberg would have filmed it perfectly. The rowdy good-for-nothing jerk sweeps in and shows his crusty old heartache that foreign feelings and emotions and all of everything that ruins such believable characters. God, gag me. Good people out there exist, but if any of them still remain, I can't imagine them coming anywhere near this shift state. I walked out. I don't remember if she started to cry harder or if she called something out to me. My mind was flooded with all the answers I had lost with Leto's body bleeding out in the room behind me. My last hope was that somewhere at the end of this was something that could put my mind at ease. I've given up on becoming a good person. I don't have time for that. I have something within me that is growing. A growing despondency that I fear will take me ever faster than any condition will. I feel dangerous, like a ticking time bomb waiting to blow. And where are the goddamn answers? Chapter 16. Inside the elevator, I can feel the air tense up. It only has one button on the inside of it, one destination. Best thing of all is that it is completely unlabeled. Sounds like some crazy metaphor for my life. One way to go, one true path, one ending. No retries, restarts, or second chances. My mind has forgotten entirely the drugs in my system, the sickness in my brain, even the impending doom of my desire to continue walking. As the elevator rises, I know I'm meeting my end, whatever form it may take. I lean my head back and close my eyes as the doors open. Warmth reaches my cheeks. A light behind my eyes shines faintly as the oranges of the sun outside fill the innards of the elevator. As I open my eyes, I see a canvas stretched far out wide. I was never one for sightseeing, but knowing, just knowing it was my last sight, I saw the marvel of the orange sun painted across the sky. No smile came, for this sight was anything but acceptance. I'd been fighting those stages all my life, and this, as enthralling as it looked, could be nothing more than a full form of acceptance. Of myself, my situation, and my future. Outside, far from the death traps of below, do I deserve an end as beautiful as this while Grace is down below, and Tom is crushed to death? No, not in the slightest. But at the same time, that's exactly what life's all about, right? If you could dial life back to a few short moments. Right here is everything life has to offer. I take a step out onto the terrace. I am overlooking a vast city, dozens of stories below. Life looks like it really should be. In that moment I freeze, seeing people on the streets in their own schedules. Life looks normal. This looks normal. Cars driving, even the sun. This was never for me. How can I be so foolish? This sun was never for me. I feel deep heat inside my throat. I try to swallow and feel only numbness as my body tries to feel around, like a foreign agent invading what little control I have left. I can feel myself breathing faster. Everything feels so hot. I feel like I'm back in the incinerator room and the jets reach firing off on me for about 1,000,000 degrees. I remember the pain that girl who died in there went through. I see Grace drop to the ground. My eyes are closed and I can see her somehow back down below. She isn't breathing. I open my eyes and the sun is suddenly so bright. Too bright. I begin hyperventilating. I was so close. Just should have fucking killed me 2 minutes earlier and I would have been fine. Fine! Now I'm seeing everything out in front of me. I could have made it. I could have made it count for something. Making it this far should count for something, right? Making it, oh fuck, my head, it's pounding. It's not fair. This isn't fair. Fuck this, and fuck Leto, and fuck my dad, and fuck everything. Two figures stand before me now, the young child, Megan, to my left, and the fully healed figure laid out to my right. Looking at them both together, the resemblance is clear now. They're in my head, and I can see them both whisper out, "Hero." A crack shatters across my vision as I fall to a knee. Everything shakes around me, the air tastes like lead. My head feels as if it's on fire, and I'm so irrevocably warm. So very warm. "Hero, our hero," they repeat. "I'm not your hero," I scream out, ripping my shirt off. It's too hot. I'm too hot. I'm not anybody's hero. I'm just a fuck up, and I don't even want to be here. "Hero, our hero." I turn my back to them, scrambling across the terrace until I reach the edge, hopefully looking at something else other than the sky below. I look out over the edge. I must be like at least 50 floors up. Down below, I can see the specks of people that walk their daily lives and drive their cars. Denver. The name pops into my mind. I don't know where from, but if it's true, if this is Denver, then that would make this building the Republic Plaza. I heard about that when I was younger for this charity event I was part of in elementary school. I feel like I'm the Human Torch, like a fire's been lit inside of me and it's boiling me alive. It hurts me I can't remember Megan or even remember the fact that she died, but how could she be here if she was dead? I'm not her hero. I'm not anybody's hero. I failed everyone and everything. Addison's dead because of me. I let loose the security lock. Tom wouldn't have died if I didn't insist we jump the elevator shaft. I move one foot off the ledge. I'm no hero. I'm no hero. My body feels like it's doing supernova, and then it goes dark. I'm no hero. Part 2. GNOSIS. Knowledge. Chapter 1. Am I dead? I don't feel dead. If I was, I don't think I'd feel anything. Unless I'm in hell, then I think I'd be tormented of feeling nothing but pain until the end of time. Yet, this isn't pain. This feeling is strange. I don't have that banging headache. This is quiet. The thoughts that run concurrent to my own are not here. The several tracks that my train of thought can try to take at once are not here. Everything feels calm. Is this a personal hell where my punishment is to feel calm in nothing? I must say, that's almost poetic, but something is telling me that I'm not actually dead. I open my eyes and feel a dim coldness as a green light shines out in front of me. It looks as if a monitor of some electronic device is turned on. It dimly illuminates the room around me. Walls surround me on every side. In a small rectangular room. A pair of eyes shadowed in darkness appears on the screen. They seem to glow.
Well, hello there, Gavin. I assume you've enjoyed my game of cat and mouse so far.
Your game? I call out to the darkness. Who the fuck are you? I ask, finding my voice is harder than I thought. It sounds like I just got finished smoking a few packs.
Well, that's quite a loaded question.
The voice calls back. Loaded? You mean full of shit? Are you gonna give me answers or just be cryptic as shit like everything else? There's a moment of silence where I think the answer to that question is yes. But when the voice carries back, it's softer, smoother.
I wanted you to come here, Gavin. I wanted to meet you.
That's interesting. Most people would just send a Facebook message or even stop on by in person. Kidnapping was outdated even before Saga came out, I said.
Ah, there's the sarcasm.
The voice said.
Thought you were only just edgy for the sake of it, but there's still a bit of wit there.
I took in a sharp breath and closed my eyes. This motherfucker was avoiding answering on purpose, and it wasn't doing much for me keeping headache-free. Hey, jackass, you still haven't shown yourself. Kind of rude when you're supposedly waiting on meeting me. Who are you? Why did you want to meet me?
You can call me Micah. Everybody does.
The voice said. Everybody? I don't see anybody else here.
It was a joke.
What part of that was funny? I asked. Real shitty comedian here. I turned to the side, trying to find anything that resembles an exit of this godforsaken prison.
I'll answer them in person. It would only be more fitting.
Micah said. Okay. I'm going to ask this one last time. Where the fuck are you?
Well, I need to be sure you won't cause any damage. defeats the purpose of all that I'm doing if you won't be cooperative.
Micah said. Well, kidnapping someone isn't a good way to assure that, I said.
Point taken, but once I'm able to explain, you'll understand that out of the available options, it was the best one.
Well, okay, but how long do I have to sit in here? I asked.
That all depends on you, Gavin. You'll know what you need to know, and then it'll be the right time.
The screen turns off. I was left there in a shocked awe. It all depends on me? Well, I want to get the hell out of here. How about that? How the hell do you mean it depends on me, you lunatic? I'm the one stuck in the stupid box. I yell out, but it does nothing. I slam my fists against the wall, and again it does nothing. I lie down against and stare into the darkness. Having what little light I had taken away really sucks right about now. I take in a deep breath and sit down with my back against the wall with the monitor on it. Right now would be a perfect time for one of those visions. It'd at least give me something to do. I see something in the darkness, then a bubble in front of me appears. I lurch up back against the wall as it bounces off of the ground once, twice, and then moves slightly toward me. Inside its reflected surface was sight of the outside world. I relaxed and crawled closer toward it, inspecting the edges. It looks like any sort of bubble a kid might blow. It was so strange. Inside I could see perfectly like a window into another world. But everything outside of it was so cast in perfect darkness. If I were anywhere but here, I think I'd contain it and investigate these otherworldly qualities. Light doesn't work like this. At least, this here shouldn't. I lean in closer to see it as it floats up and down. The view inside starts to move, shifting faster as if it were attached to a helicopter flying through the air. It changes and fades to an inside view of the Republic Plaza building. Terribly awful memories coming back to me of where I came from. Questions joining the memories of how I got here. But before I can dwell on them for too long, I feel myself being sucked into the bubble. I feel my head shaking back and forth, and the weightless feeling joins me altogether. The darkness has left me, but confusion becomes my constant companion. I know not where I am, but I see what is before me. The innards of the Republic Plaza,